back to Miss Henrik's video demos. Today I'm going to show you how to make checkerboard cookies. It's a type of refrigerator cookie, and it's just one of the choices for our holiday cookie project. So let's take a look at our mise en place. You will need butter. Room temperature is best. Some regular granulated sugar. 1 egg yolk, so we'll have to separate that. Some vanilla for flavoring. Flour, just for structure, remember. Some baking powder, which is our leavener. Salt, also for flavoring. A little milk, so our liquid. And then some unsweetened chocolate melted, so it's also part of our flavorings. And then the first mixing step you're going to do is cream your butter and sugar. So like I said, if your butter's soft, it's easier to mix. 1 stick of butter and a ½ cup of sugar. Alright, that goes into your mixer, or you're doing this by hand. If you don't have a mixer, that's fine too. Using the paddle attachment. So you're going to start slow, lock the device, start slow. Scraping down the bowl if you need to until your mixture is light and fluffy. Egg, crack it like normal, but gently break the shell in half, and then let the egg white kind of fall away from the egg yolk. You pass it back and forth, letting more and more of the white fall away until you're left with just a yolk. You could put that in another dish, but this looks fine to me. I'm just going to put it right into my creamed butter and sugar. And then this, you could make a little mini omelet with that sometime. And then you'll add your ½ teaspoon of vanilla as well, right into your mixing bowl. Alright, and now you're going to mix together your dry ingredients separately, so you can sift together your flour, the baking soda, and the salt together. So the sifting really helps mix it really well, kind of break up the clumps, but if you don't have a sifter, it will still turn out fine. So here's my baking soda. I'm just going to keep sifting until it's all through. And don't forget the pinch of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Do I have a teaspoon? I have a 1/4 teaspoon, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball half of that into my mixture. Alright, so now you're going to add alternating and mixing the milk and the dry ingredients into the other mixing bowl. So I'm just going to put like half. Oops, that's got a lot. That's a little bit more than half, and then 2 tablespoons of milk right now. Mix that up and then add the rest. It's just so that your batter doesn't get too dry or too liquidy while you're mixing. So let's see what that looks like. Alright, so this is what my dough is going to look like. And this would make right now a very nice sugar cookie. But I'm going to make checkerboard cookies, which is vanilla and chocolate. So I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper. This parchment paper is really important in this recipe, so you really need it. Hold on. Doesn't have to be ripped perfectly. And then I'm going to divide this dough in half. Yeah, so that's about half. And then I'm going to try to roll it into a log. So like as thin as I can. It's supposed to be about 1.5 inches in diameter, log like that. Okay, and then you're gonna just roll it up in the parchment paper. See, I could probably do it this way. And then you want to kind of flatten it so that it looks more rectangular. This is the tricky part, getting this shape right. Let's see. Kind of feels rectangular, squarish. And then you're going to put this in, I'm going to put it in the freezer because I want it to be pretty solid. Alright, so now we're going to make the chocolate part with the rest of our dough. So it calls for 1 ounce of unsweetened chocolate melted. So 1 ounce is 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to measure that out. If you buy the block unsweetened chocolate, which can be found in the baking section, you would just use 1 square. Okay, use the label to figure out how much you need. So 1 ounce is about 30 grams. So 1 tablespoon is 15 grams, so 2 tablespoons. That's how I know. So you're going to melt this. So there's 2 ways. You can use the microwave. That's the simplest. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to heat it for like 20 seconds at a time and stir until it's all melted. Or you could melt it under low heat on the stove. So very low heat, and be stirring it constantly until it's melted. So I'm just going to use the microwave and then I'll come right back. Alright, so this is what your chocolate will look like when it's all melted. Just so you know, this only took 40 seconds in the microwave because it's such a small amount. So you're going to add this to the remainder of your dough and mix it thoroughly. So it's all chocolatey looking. It doesn't look like vanilla or sugar cookie anymore. It looks like chocolate cookie. Alright, so I mixed in the chocolate. I gotta say, it was not easy because this dough is getting pretty thick. So I did it by hand. So now that's the chocolate part. Looks lovely. And you're going to do the same thing. Roll it into a log about 1.5 inches in diameter. And then roll it up and try to make it as square as possible to match the other one. And then put it into the freezer. That should be enough. Okay, so flatten the sides as best you can. Take these out of the freezer. They're not like frozen solid, which is good because I'm going to cut them and kind of reshape them. Now would be a good time to actually preheat your oven to 375 because these are going to go into the oven soon. If all things go well. So let's unwrap our dough and we're going to make. So there's these 2 choices. You could go for the simple checkerboard or try for the more complicated checkerboard. I'm going to go for the simple one. Actually, I'm going to cut these in half. And I'm going to try to make them the same length. Yeah. Okay, maybe I'll try to do the more complicated shape with these later. All right, so just cut these both in half. And then in half again, so that I'm going to have 4 pieces each, so 8 pieces total. It's really important that you kind of try to get them the same size. And then now you're going to want to rearrange them kind of like a puzzle. All right, so I came up with this shape. If you can get more creative than me, and I ended up with 2 left over. But I'm going to cut the other pieces of my dough into strips. I want it to maintain this like square shape. If I'd added these 2, which I could, it'd be kind of more rectangular. Oops. That would be fine too. Hold on, that wouldn't work. Yeah, like that. It's a little too rectangle for me, so I'm going to keep the square. I'm going to wrap it back up in the parchment paper. Let it chill in the refrigerator just for like a couple minutes so that they kind of like, the dough blends together. And then I will slice it and put it on my cookie sheet. All right, so here's my little checkerboard cookies, and they're ready to go into the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, or until they're a little golden brown around the edges. All right, and here's what they look like when they're done. Just, you can see a tiny bit of golden brown on the edge. You want to let them cool completely. So maybe about 2 minutes on the baking sheet, and then move them to a cooling rack, and then enjoy. So I hope you learned a lot from this video demo. Thank you for watching.